you are genuinely tired of criticizing yourself and you want to stop self-sabotaging yourself, you have to sit with yourself. And what I mean by sit with yourself is close yourself in a room, lock yourself in a room, and sit with yourself. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. In order for you to transmute your negative energy into positive energy, you have to accept that you don't feel good about yourself. You have to be honest about how you feel. And the only time this is triggering or challenging or seems difficult is when you're hiding and running from yourself. You have to realize, unless you've always felt this way about yourself, it's literally from the trauma that we go through. It's literally from projections from certain people, places, and things. And the reason why you need to stop hiding and sit with yourself and confront yourself is so because one, this is not your energy, it doesn't belong to you, and two, even if you do feel insecure or you doubt yourself and you speak negatively about yourself, you don't have to continue to feel that way. So when we grow up in dysfunction, when we don't have support, when we don't have guidance, when we don't have wisdom, when we don't have discernment at an early age, whatever we're exposed to, whatever we see is more than likely whatever we're going to feel about ourselves. So if you were bullied growing up, if people made fun of you, if you were abused at home, mentally, physically, if you grew up in poverty, if you just didn't have friends and family, you probably had low self-esteem. You probably going through insecurities. Now, me personally, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've only had one insecurity, but I only had the insecurity because I wasn't educated. I didn't have the discernment. I didn't have the wisdom and the guidance until I reached out to somebody and I had a conversation because I didn't like the insecurity that I had. And they explained to me the reason why you're insecure is because this and this and that. And the insecurity that I had was I've always weighed less than 100 pounds or less than like 110 pounds my entire life for the first 18 years. And I started to grow, and with my body started to grow as a woman, I got stretch marks. Now, when you learn to overcome your insecurities, when you learn to stop being so hard on yourself, you don't have to be ashamed, you don't have to be embarrassed, and this is how you're going to start making improvement. This is how you're going to start to progress. But until you sit with yourself, until you look at yourself in the mirror, until you are alone with your thoughts and with your feelings, you're going to continue to have to wear a mask and be something you're not. And as your favorite mental health specialist, out of the 27 going on 28 years, I've never felt the need to wear a mask, and you shouldn't either. So if you're ready to move forward, keep watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your post notifications because, yeah, when you see me on this account, we're here to confront anything that's no longer resonating with us and transmute it into positive energy. Why? Because it's 2025, and speaking from experience, as you grow older as an adult, nobody has time to be miserable. Nobody has time to be upset. Nobody has time to be with certain people, places, and things that do not make sense, that do not allow you to be entertained, at peace, or whatever it is. Like, you don't have to live a luxurious, glamorous life if that's not what you want, but it's like you should be happy every single day. Rather, you live in a 5-star hotel, you live in a motel, you live in the woods, or you live in a high rise. Like, you have to start doing things that make you feel good about yourself so you're not worrying, you're not doubting, and most importantly, when people, places, and things who don't know you try to say certain things about you, you don't have to believe it. So these are 5 recommendations in order for you to start being compassionate. The first thing is to be vulnerable. When you decide to heal yourself, when you decide to be vulnerable with yourself, you may feel uncomfortable because you're not used to expressing yourself. Like I said, you know your situation better than I do. If you grew up in a household where you guys didn't communicate, where you weren't showing love, when you weren't showing affection, it does seem difficult, but you have to sit with yourself and be honest about what has happened to you, how certain things affected you, and you have to be okay with not knowing the wisdom. You have to be okay without knowing the guidance. You don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed. I was getting stretch marks when I was like in high school, so like 10th and 11th grade, but I was going through puberty. And at that time, because I was very petite and very small as an individual, I didn't see anybody or girls or women my age who had stretch marks. So I wasn't embarrassed. I was more so, just unaware or naive in a sense. And once I brought it up, like I said, with somebody that was like close to me at that time, they let me know, like, Tiana, That's my real name. You have stretch marks because your body is growing. And even Cat Williams said, like, you have stretch marks because you got big and then you got small, or you got small, you got big. Like, you don't have to dwell on your insecurities, especially if you can fix them, because 90%, okay, clock that, 90% of the time, you can fix your insecurities. Like, if you don't like your teeth, you can get braces, you can get Invisalign, or you could take it a step further and get cosmetic surgery. Do what makes sense to you financially and what's going to make you feel good about yourself. Like, you guys know this is not a judge zone channel, because it's just like everybody goes through things. And when you're learning to be there, especially when you're not used to having people be there for you, you do feel like, what am I trying to say? You do feel like alone, or you can feel lonely, but you need to do this being alone, because it's like, what nobody's going to tell you. And as a naturopathic physician in real life, as your favorite mental health specialist, I'm giving you guys this information for free. No shade to the therapist. I do have services, but my prices are way more affordable. You having a conversation with your therapist or a guidance counselor, you're literally just expressing how you feel. And they're listening and they're documenting information. And of course, they're giving you recommendations like myself. But you could do that with yourself. You could do that with yourself. You could sit with yourself. You could look at yourself. I recommend you going in the bathroom, or if you get a mirror and you pull out the mirror, not in vanity, of course, but you build confidence and you sit with yourself and you look at yourself and you talk about the things that you don't like. And the reason why you need to talk about the things that you don't like is because you need you. In order for you to be compassionate, you need you. And that's the second thing. So the first thing was being vulnerable, being honest, and sitting with yourself. The second thing is supporting yourself. Once you go to the root, once you identify why you have these insecurities, these doubts, and why you feel negative about yourself, and you're able to be honest and vocal, and you're able to express yourself, you have to start to support yourself. So the second thing for you to do is to figure out, okay, how can I make myself feel better? So if you're insecure about your hair, if you're insecure about your looks, if you're insecure about your weight, if you're insecure about whatever it is that you're insecure about, or whatever you feel like you're like insecure or negative or envious or jealous of, what could you start to do to work to making those things better? Like, you could solve a lot of your problems. And another thing, I'm really just getting on here telling all the tea, you guys. Another thing a lot of people don't want to tell you, especially when it comes to wealth, money can buy certain people happiness, because everyone's definition of happiness is not the same. So if you financially, like I said, don't like something about yourself, and you could get it fixed, and that's going to make you feel better, as long as you guys are not harming yourself and others, you could get it done. Like, if you want braces, go get braces. I've had braces before. I had braces, when did I get them? I think 9th grade, all the way up until my 9th grade to like the end of my 11th grade summer. And then my senior year, I had to wear my retainer. I think I have it right here. Okay, get braces. I got braces, you guys, because when I was little, 2 of my front teeth almost got knocked out. That's a different topic for a different day. But it's just like, I wanted my teeth straight, not because they were crooked, but because I had an overbite. I ended up getting braces. Like, we could solve our problems, and in the moment, and when you don't have support, when you don't feel love, when you're used to having low self-esteem, when you're used to being insecure, you just think it's the end of the world. And I want you to know that it's not. Like, once I found out that I was like growing, I was getting taller, my body was developing from obviously a young lady to a young adult, 16, 17, and now at 28, basically, I realized that I don't need to be like insecure about having stretch marks, because my body grew, and it's not the end of the world. Like, there are so many things that I could do. I could use Shea Moisture, I could use cocoa butter, I could use Celtrixa. If you guys are old enough, you guys would know what Celtrixa is. Like, back in the day, I remember seeing the commercials. I was like, I'm about to get Celtrixa. That's crazy. No shade to people who got Celtrixa, but like, or nowadays you can get, like I said, surgically removed. Like, your body, your choice. Like I said, as long as you're not hurting yourself and others, you can solve your problems. Like, it's no reason to be mean to ourselves, especially when it's like we've been traumatized. Like, that's what nobody wants to talk about. And like I said, no disrespect to the therapist, because, you know, I do this too in real life. Book a session in the service at TyGuidancesummer.com. Okay, your first consultation. Like I said, my prices are a trillion times cheaper and more affordable than the others. But, like, we've been traumatized. That's what people realize. It is hard for most people, and this is why I'm speaking from experience. Like, I've been very fortunate to not have insecurities other than that one. And like I said, once I realized, okay, my body was growing for me, which everyone handles trauma differently, I was able to snap and move forward. It's not that I don't go through things, but it's just like, I know who I am, and I've always known who I am. But when you don't know who you are, when you're going through trauma, you're not used to having people be there for you. Like I said, it's difficult and challenging, but it's just like, we don't need to be stuck and stagnant. Like, we need to let go of these traumas, but you have to be vulnerable. You have to talk to yourself, because that's what you're doing in the therapy session. You're literally talking out loud about how you feel. And your therapist is just there to confide in you and to come up with rational solutions. Now, of course, because I am a naturopathic physician, for those of you who don't know, we do things very naturally. And when you do things naturally, it does require you to feel. So my videos, this is something that takes skill. So it's just like, when you watch these videos, of course, grab your pen and your paper and take your notes, but you have to be able to apply these things. I'm able to speak like this because this is where I'm at. You watching this, if you do have low self-esteem, we're not on the same level, but you can get there if you choose to. So that's the last thing. I think I said 3 or 5. Once I edit this video, it'll be in the title, but that's the last thing. You have to choose to be compassionate. Not everybody in the world, you guys, is like me. Not everybody in the world is going to be resilient. It is possible, though, because you see people on your For You page. You see people who are living the life that you want. You see people doing the things that you want to do, and you know the things that you want to do exist. You know that healthy relationships are possible because there are people who are in them. Everybody's not in a bad mood. Everyone's not having a bad life. Everyone's not a bad person. And unfortunately, a lot of times what they don't want to show, like I said, the average population, and it's unfortunate that I have to break that down like that, everyone in the world is not suffering. And a lot of people, like I said, the majority, if you are considered to be like, and at least in America, there's like elitism, there's capitalism, and there's classism, which if you really know, none of that stuff matters. But for like worldly sense and like for worldly surface level vibes, a lot of people think that, like I said, mentally and psychologically they're suffering, they're broke, they're in poverty, when all of those things are just trauma. Like, a lot of people think they're diagnosed with all these diseases and disorders. It's trauma. Like, and you're able to solve those things if you choose to. Like, you have to choose to be honest about your envy. And it's really important that you do so with yourself, because what happens is, the longer you hold this in your heart, the longer you hold this in your spirit, the more you end up sabotaging yourself. You sabotage the people like me and people who want to be there for you and others. And in the end, you only grow older to be bitter, angry, and frustrated. And that's not a life anybody should want to experience. And everyone in the world is not. So it's like, a lot of people suffer in this world, and a lot of people like myself have not, if I'm being completely honest with you. But a lot of people who have certain resources and certain privileges, they don't use them. Now, not everybody, because there are some people in this world who do have certain privileges, certain resources, who are really like in tune and they do help people. But I know, at least for me, it's not common, unfortunately, for a lot of people. Like, it's like 50-50. And it's just like, in order for us to experience the life that we want, we have to start with ourselves. So it's just like, you need to sit with yourself. You got to stop running and hiding. Do you want to release the envy and the frustration and the pain? Are you willing to be in your stages of grieving? Are you willing to be in isolation? Are you willing to be alone? Are you willing to be vulnerable? Are you willing to talk about these things? Or do you want to keep sweeping it underneath the rug? Because when you sweep things underneath the rug, eventually the rug has to get lifted, because it's dirty. It is no longer going to, stand still. Like, it's going to be very dirty, it's going to be torn apart and you're going to have to throw it in the trash. If you come over here, we're not sweeping nothing underneath the rug. I'm over here to lift it up. So if you don't want me to lift up the rug, because I make these videos because I have no problems talking about the skeletons in my closet. Thank you. Energy speaks for itself. Like, when you're very, like I said, secure, it's not an act. It's not an act. It's not arrogance. Okay. It's not being superior. When you really live a certain type of life, your energy speaks for itself. So you have to learn how to sit with yourself in order for you to learn how to be compassionate. And most importantly, it's a skill. It takes time. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you for watching it all the way to the end. Turn on your post notification bell. Make sure to subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms. All the information will be down in the description box below. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section or in the community section here on YouTube. Like I said, if you're interested in this service, head to my website at tyguidancesummer.com. And most importantly, you can follow me on my Instagram and on TikTok. I'll be going live answering common questions and concerns, or you can DM me on Instagram and let me know in my story what topics you guys are interested in. But I think I said 3 or 5. I might have said 3 or 5, but basically, if you're tired of self-sabotaging and criticizing yourself, you got to stop running from yourself, okay? Love you, bye.